Ladies and gentlemen, we interrupt your regularly scheduled programming to bring you this special bulletin. Welcome to another edition of Rumor Control. Take this with a grain of salt. Pay attention to the red flags, but if this does come to fruition as fact or confirmed or whatever you want to call it, it will not be the slightest bit surprised. The latest one comes from John F. Trent over at Fandom Pulse. Bioware current Mass Effect 5 build features pronouns. You might as well take this one and just write it down, stamp it in stone, because, well, it's Bioware. What else have they done? I think we can expect pronoun selection moving forward in all the rest of their games. Got a whole bunch of rumors coming out about Mass Effect 5. Let's check them out. I'll have a lovely little link to Fandom Pulse and John F. Trent's article in the description box down below. Go give him some traffic, y'all. He does a lot of the heavy lifting for us out there. This rumor comes from Reddit user. Ooh. Take it with a slightly bigger grain of salt, maybe. It is Reddit. Hit or miss. At least it's not 4chan. Reddit API Blackout 24, who shared it to the Kotaku in Action subreddit. It has since been removed because, of course it does. Of course it will. From the subreddit by moderators because, they don't want any information getting leaked out there. Again, take this all with a grain of salt. But based on the track record of AAA studios as of late, again, pronouns in pronoun selection in the game. Yay, because, that's going to make sense. Nevertheless, the user shared, quote, "We got an all-hands-on-deck meeting last week. Devs were asked to delay features, art, content that may be deemed as woke or political and defer them to future patches." Oh, so we're just going to hide them after the release, perhaps? Wait and get those good, juicy game scores, review scores, and then we'll just put the ideological nonsense in later. As QAS, quality assurance, we were tasked to report if we audit or detect anything that might resemble them so they can be fixed. But if you're so proud of it, why would you want to fix it? Again, rumor control. The company wants to launch the game as clean as possible and introduce woke stuff silently through patches. Oh boy, oh boy. If you ever wanted to get your fans to pay attention to what you're doing, pay attention to your game, they're just going to pay attention to it more. Wait for it to go on sale. Maybe just close their wallets completely, regardless of what kind of a banger of a game you put out there. Reddit user concluded, quote, "I fear this might be industry-wide. Wouldn't surprise me at all, actually. They wouldn't be issuing this so early otherwise, so tread carefully." Oh, absolutely, tread carefully. Say this all the time, or at least I have been as of late. Maybe I should follow my own advice. Anyway, do not pre-order. Do not give these companies their money. They do not deserve the benefit of the doubt. Allow a YouTuber, a content creator, to buy the game, write it off on their taxes, stream the game, and make money through throughput chats and advertising, and let you know what they think about the game. And find a YouTuber or two or three that you trust their opinion. Not necessarily that you agree with wholeheartedly, but one that you firmly, unabashedly believe that they are going to tell you exactly what they feel. The leaker then shared that the word woke, I hate that word, was never used, but instead used inclusive content. Because, if you call it inclusive content, then you can go hard and heavy at the people who are against this content and call them, it's like, you just don't want inclusivity. You just don't want diversity. It's like, no, you are mostly correct. We do not want inorganic inclusivity. We do not want forced diversity. Make it make sense in the world that you are building, and nobody's going to have a problem with it. The leaker also claimed current build has pronoun selection. Oh dear. And of course, that right there, the use of pronouns in the bio. Why do you have a problem with it? We've had pronouns throughout our entire lives. Yes, but it's only been as of late. It's only been rather recently in the past, 3, 4, 5 years in game development that they're slowly pushing them into the game and letting you change them. Video games are supposed to be a fantasy. They're an escapism, getting away from the real world nonsense, getting away from reality and forgetting it for an hour or 2 or 3 or, as some streamers, 12. Insane. I don't know how. Maybe one day. Getting away from the real world, politicization of gender and pronouns and all that nonsense. A lot of gamers across the board are shutting down their wallets because they're tired of it. Because you're putting things in games that do not make sense. You're adding dialogue into a fantasy game with dragons, and you're putting modern, current day, real world, United States terminology. And that does not make sense. It pulls people out of the game. It pulls people out of the story. And, well, when the audience sees the YouTuber, the content creator, the Twitch streamer, whatever, playing those games, they go, yeah, I'm going to pass. And the more often that happens, maybe, perhaps, one day, definitely not Naughty Dog and Neil Druckmann, because he'll never learn. Maybe these studios will learn, will start thinking about, taking out that real-world nonsense out of their game, that ideological checkbox bullshit out of their game. But who knows? Or they'll go broke and shut down another studio that's overloading with bloat. As for how they will inject in the propaganda, well, I'm sure they'll find some way to make it not feel organic. He detailed some of it will have to do with decals and skins featuring the alphabet flags, because that's going to make so much sense in a Mass Effect game. Again, grain of salt, people. Grain of salt, ladies and gentlemen. Quote, we also have decals and skins based on the flags, but they will be given alternate names like bubblegum. See, that will make it 100 times worse, because if you give it a different name, if it is the trans flag, but you call it the bubblegum patch, well, then you come across as thinking your audience is, well, retarded, for a lack of a better term. That is an insult to your audience. Just own it. Just own it. Okay? If you try to hide it, you try to obfuscate it, then, well, it's just going to make it 10 times worse. This rumor comes on the back of one of YouTuber Endymion at the end of September. He said, at the time, this is an interesting thing. Is it possible that Endymion could have been right, could have been correct, accurate about one of his filthy incel man-baby conspiracy theories? Who'd have thunk it? After a while, when guys like Endymion and Smash JT are just proven correct over, more often than not, because nobody's going to bat 1,000. But when the more often you are proven correct, you would think maybe not take what they say with a grain of salt as much anymore. Maybe just a little pinch. He said at the time, quote, according to my sources, that no, he's not going to tell anyone. You don't reveal your sources because then you don't have sources, but moving on. And this was one of the most damning allegations, so please listen, is that the game industry across plenty of studios will start to market their games as being devoid of identity politics, I'll believe it when I see it, and pandering almost completely. Devoid of identity politics and pandering. Again, I'll believe it when I see it, because not a single one of these studios deserves the benefit of the doubt, despite how much my brain goes off on playing devil's advocate. It's involuntary. It's not fun. If you know, you know. But they have not earned our trust as players, as customers, as gamers. CD Projekt Red, Cyberpunk 2077 is my all-time favorite game, and Phantom Liberty just solidified that. Do I trust CD Projekt Red to make a banger of a game with the next edition of the Witcher series? No, I do not. Do I expect them to make another banger of a game with the next Cyberpunk installment? No, I do not. They have a lot to prove. They have a lot to live up for, especially with the nonsense going on in the studio, behind the scenes, in the office, and prove to us whether or not that is going to infect the games they put out. They have a lot to work towards. They do not deserve credit for anything. Endymion added, however, the actual content within these games in the future will not be altered or lessened, because they have people to answer to. They have those loans and the investors who believe that this will get them all the money. What is it? Checkbox ideology. Will not be altered or lessened in terms of identity, political content, despite this tonal change in marketing. Well, at least they would be smart enough to take it out of the marketing. Now, if it's not in the marketing, but when the game comes out, it's an ideological slop of inorganic story, checkbox BS, well, then again, people are going to put their money down, see what it is, and discredit, I guess, ruin the already useless reputation that some of these AAA studios have. Quote continues, simply put, many studios and publishers are still all in on DEI, D-I-E, spell it right, and wokeness in the future, like they are not changing that. Of course not. Why would they? They're just going to lie. They're going to obfuscate. They're going to hide things behind one thing or another. Or, as this rumor suggests, they'll put it in with later patches. But I do wonder how that would work, though. All of a sudden, the android that you're talking to that claims to be female, all of a sudden is a they-them clone of some dead man, dead general from decades past. How would that work, actually, now that I think about it? But let's keep going. They still want to consume. They still want you to consume this content, whether you want to or not. Well, that's not how that works. More and more customers are getting away from the just consume product and get excited for next product. Don't ask questions. We're getting away from that more and more and more as idiots like myself and channels far more popular than mine gain traction, get the word out there, and gain a following. People are shutting their wallets down. This whole idea they want us to consume their content. Well, you have to earn that purchase. You're not going to automatically get it as much as you would anymore. Bioware, Blizzard, Bethesda, even CD Projekt Red. These names used to be synonymous with quality product. And then one little fumble that would lead to another fumble and another. And all of a sudden, the pattern recognition. You see the writing on the wall. One red flag is enough to make someone shut their wallet. 2, 3. Some people need more. Some people need just the one. Some people, you make one little mistake like Hello Games and No Man's Sky, and no matter what, people will never go back to that studio, regardless of what the game looks like so many years later and so many free updates later. Same thing with Cyberpunk. People will refuse to go back to those games because of one, or back to those studios, simply because of one single, for lack of a better term, fuck up on release. It is what it is. Everyone has the right to that opinion, regardless. I mean, it's their money. They have to do what they want with it. Some people will give the benefit of the doubt that these companies don't deserve. Some people will just go, I'll wait for someone else to do it. And that's my suggestion. Let's say they will now sell you the game by marketing them to you and trick you into thinking that they're not ideologically driven, because I don't like that word, but yeah, you know what I mean. Basically, and then you will buy it, and then sometime into the future experiences, all the woke, I don't like that word. Sorry, I keep saying that. I guess will reveal itself, but how? I do wonder that. I understand what Endymion is saying. I understand what this rumor, this little bitty leak is saying, but I do question how would that be accomplished if you don't have the ideological checkbox nonsense, the real world BS in the game at launch. What could a patch add to that to make it garbage? Because honestly, if they're planning to put it in there, but they take it out for a later patch, they're focusing on that wokeness, that bullshit, the ideological bullshit. So it's going to be present in the storytelling, the lack of creativity, the dialogue, all these other things. The rest of the game suffers. That's why we pay attention to these red flags. That's why there is the pattern recognition. When they come out and have, oh, look, we have pronouns in the bio. Oh, look, top surgery scars. You can't have an ass, but you can have top surgery scars. And all these other things. And, of course, the Kunari looking like ass. Not as, ass. The story suffers. The dialogue suffers. The quality overall of the game, the mechanics, all these things suffer because you're so focused on this checkbox, that checkbox, this one, and that one over and over again. If you pull it out of the game, the nonsense, the shite, essentially, will still be there and will still be sniffed from 10 miles away. So even if you don't put it in the marketing, people are still and should definitely still wait for a review from a trusted content creator. Wait to watch a couple of Let's Play streams and then go from there. I don't think waiting to add it to a patch is going to save these games, because the story will still suffer based on the track record, based on the patterns that have been happening in front of our faces over and over again. I don't see this. Take this again. Take it with a grain of salt, but honestly, the pronoun selection, that's a guarantee. We know that. BioWare proved that with Dragon Age, the Failguard. We knew that was going to be there. More than likely, you'll be able to make some sort of androgynous NPC that looks nothing like anything you would see in real life. A lack of a boob slider, a lack of a posterior slider, but all the other ideological selections will be there. In Mass Effect 5, in Deep Space, vitiligo will still be a thing, and surgery scars in the distant, far future is guaranteed. But as far as the rest of it, it won't surprise me. I do wonder how they'll do it, putting the ideology in later. But let me know what you think in the comment section down below. Is there any hope for BioWare's Mass Effect 5, rumors or not? Do you think there's any hope with the studio? Let me know what you think in the comment section down below. Leave a like, leave a dislike, do all the nifty little things that YouTube is making you do, and I'm running out of breath. See you next time!